Corporate politics is about knowing how to put others up, not put others down. What are ways that you can put others up while leveraging that to your advantage? You have to know how to navigate it, how to not lose your sleep. Don't play it dirty at all. Absolutely not needed. But at the same time, be aware of it, know how to navigate it.
Welcome to the Leader's Mindset, where we bring you conversations with leaders who are making an impact in business and our communities. Today, I'm here with Payal Nanjiani. She's a world-renowned executive coach, speaker, and award-winning author. Today, she's going to help us learn to navigate complex corporate politics. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Jason. It's such an honor to be here on the Leadership Mindset podcast with you.
Well, thank you for joining us. I appreciate you being here. So, before we get into the corporate politics of it all, tell us who it is you help and how you help them.
Okay, so my clients basically are mid-managers all the way up to CEO level, all CXO level. So from mid-managers all the way up to the CXO, they are primarily the corporate leaders, with a few of them who are in mid-sized businesses and business founders. And how I help them, it's basically they come with me with various issues, right? So it could be career growth, it could be dealing with people, dealing with corporate politics, career transition, confidence. It's very different things that they approach me for. And everybody, one thing I have seen in common, they want to grow. They definitely want to achieve big in their career life. So that's where I come in and I help them. My only aim in life, Jason, has always been how can I help them become more and more successful in their career?
I love that. And I've learned from personal experience, sometimes we think we have a challenge with something, but it's really something else. There's a different root cause.
Oh,
So
yes.
what are the main challenges your clients come to you asking for help on? And how is their perception of what the challenge is different from what you see they need help with when you talk to them?
Absolutely, you're very right. Like I said, they would come to me with, how do I build my confidence? And Payal, I'm stuck in my career. How do I grow? How do I navigate these politics? I want to change my job. How am I dealing with my boss? So they'll come with various problems, and then we will work on that. But when I actually sit with them, we do some assessments, or when I actually talk with them, Jason, I have seen that the problem is different completely. And the major problem is they don't focus on themselves at all. They are not able to transform themselves as leaders first before they are able to bring that transformation in the companies and in the organization and in the teams. And that is exactly why people get stuck. They feel, whatever has brought us until this point of a mid manager or of a senior leader is exactly what will bring me to the next level. And then they get frustrated that, hey, Payal, all this while, a lot of recruiters were calling me for my career growth. Now nobody is approaching me because your approach has remained the same. You are not focusing on yourself. There's so much of work I do with people on themselves before I can even tell them how to externally place themselves and position themselves in the market.
So what are some of the transformations, the common ones that you feel like you need to help people make? And what are the barriers that keep them from making those transformations?
So, majorly, like I said, the transformation is a lot internal. I am a firm believer that leadership, begins from inside of you. Major barriers are internal, and I'll give you. I would love to share one incidents with our listeners, which might help them realize that how these barriers show up in our career life. So I was once coaching a very senior vice president of finance in a company, and it was a I would say it was a shadow coaching. And during the shadow coaching, I was sitting there in the boardroom. It was him, and there were 3 or 4 team members, and all of them were speaking online on a virtual call with the CEO who was situated in San Francisco, and the stakeholders who were also situated in Dallas or somewhere. And there was a heated argument going on between my client and the CEO, that how do we really navigate this entire change of the ship from software, from hardware to software. And my client was only trying to make sense and tell them the financial implications this could have. And all of a sudden, the CEO muted my client. And my client felt extremely disrespectful. He shut the laptop, stood up, and said, I'm out of here. I'm done from this company. And when I spoke to him later and I said, are you sure you're going to move on? Like you said, he said, of course, everybody will want to hire somebody like me, which is true. He had a great caliber and a great credentials with him. What I asked him was a simple question. I said, great, you will go in a new company. There will be new things, new challenges, new projects, new team, new salary. Everything is going to be great. But guess what? There's going to be some problem in that company. Something is going to come up. And now what? What are you going to do? You're only going to hop on to another company because that's the only thing, that's the only pattern you have built in yourself. You've not learned how to deal with those challenges because internally you're battling so much of these ego problems. All of this is coming from where? From ego, from my own. See, there's a difference between self-respect and ego. And when I spoke to him about that, I said, how about you stay where you are? You build yourself internally. And then when it is the right time for you, you feel you've outgrown the company, you've outgrown the products. Why don't you move then? And I'm really glad, Jason, that he heard me out because today he is the CFO of the same company, the same boss, everything remains the same. Those internal barriers like fear of failure, fear of judgment, imposter syndrome, your egos, your lack of self awareness, your comfort zone, your fixed mindset, your belief system, your values, your purpose. Oh my goodness, there is so much internal that blocks the external growth for the people. And we don't realize it. We feel we have the credentials, we have the knowledge, we can just move ahead from that. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, there are so many internal barriers that we don't even realize we put in our own
True.
way, and they're really really hard to overcome. And it sounds like you had a lot of success with this individual and other individuals, helping them realize what those internal barriers are. Once we can get ourselves past those internal barriers, or at least recognize that we have those internal barriers, what are the most important things we should be working on as leaders if we want to rise up to that C-suite level?
So, from the internal barriers, you also have to look at the external environment in which you are. And today, if you're not able to keep up with AI, if you're not able to keep up with digitization, if you're not able to keep up with the technology change, and if you're not able to be a great people leader, they're going to fail massively now. Because today, in a generation of AI that we have all moved into, it's very easy for people to get information that they want. They don't need a leader for information today as compared to the earlier stages of our life. But you have to, people have to move from being someone who is sharing knowledge to being somebody who is sharing their inspiration, who's able to inspire people, who is able to influence people, able to reflect, be a great people leader, have those emotions, have those empathies, which AI doesn't have today. So these are some things which externally have changed in our corporate and business life. So leaders have to keep up to this now.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of what you're describing is the ability to communicate and interact with each other
Yeah.
effectively in a human way, and it's so important that we do that. What do you think are the biggest challenges emerging leaders need to overcome in their communication skills?
I think that's a very important question because without communication, there is no leadership. It's the heart of leadership. And many emerging leaders, what's happening is they are consistently passing the knowledge. It's not about knowing what you are, what you have to say. It's more about knowing how you want to say it. And most of the people, they fail in that place. They are not able to articulate their message very clearly. There was an incident where I remember there was one of my clients, and he had to give a presentation to the CEO of the company. This he was a senior director, and he had prepared 20 slides, and he said, in the next half an hour, 15 to 30 minutes that I have with the CEO, this is what I'm going to do. And I didn't say anything to him at that time because I really wanted him to understand the value of communication. He came back to me and he said, Payal, as soon as I went in, the CEO told me, I have 3 minutes. Tell me exactly what you want me to hear. And he said, I fumbled. And I said, this is exactly what happens with most of us. We feel communication is all the knowledge that I want to share and present. It is about clarity. How much clarity you have on your thought process, how much clarity you have about the subject. If you have 3 minutes, it is easy to say our company is facing a 5% turnover, and this is why, and this is how. 3 minutes are enough for a CEO to understand that. The
Yeah, I'm reminded of the example you gave us earlier about your client who was speaking to the CEO and wasn't getting through to the CEO. And
Yeah.
I've learned the hard way in many cases. It's really important for us to, when we're communicating with someone, when we're interacting with someone, as you said, to do more than just share the knowledge. And it's really important to be able to speak to them in terms they understand, speak to them about what they're concerned about, right? Especially if you're talking to a senior decision maker, speaking to them about what they're concerned about. I used to have to do this in the Air Force all the time, where we'd go in and talk to a 4-star general for 5 minutes. We would get 5 minutes and that's it. And
Yeah.
it was a skill I had to learn to go in and go, okay, this is what this 4-star general is concerned about. I need to lead with that, and then I need to jump into what we're doing about it, and then get his questions, and I need to be out. And I think that's so important to take away with is you can have all the knowledge in the world and keep saying that knowledge over and over and over again to someone. But if you're not saying it in a way that addresses what they're concerned about, you're never going to make any headway with them.
Absolutely, because what you said is so correct. In the generation in which we are, in an Insta generation, the people want everything very quickly. So, how well can you articulate that message with confidence? Confidence is one thing I have seen people really lack when it comes to communicating, presenting. They have a lot of issues, even though they have subject matter expertise.
What do you do to help your clients who have a confidence problem communicating? Sometimes people are again, they have all the knowledge, they speak very clearly, they speak very articulately, but they're not confident when they uh, present or speak to someone in authority. What are some of the things you do to help them transform past that barrier?
So, confidence, Jason, as you might also be, of course, very well aware of, it's not an external thing. People feel we'll read books, we listen to tapes, and we are going to increase our knowledge and we'll have the confidence. It doesn't come through that. I know a lot of people who have a lot of these things, but still the confidence keeps lacking. And when the right opportunity comes, they don't take it because they feel they are not ready for it. So, you're never going to be ready because the moment you're ready, by then technology has changed dramatically. So confidence is an inner game. You have to know what is your narrative. A lot of times what happens is I have people who are going to be presenting or they are going to be talking in a boardroom. They will not speak up. Why will they not speak up in the boardroom but then go outside and they will have the same conversation? Oh, I was supposed to say this, or I will say it in a one on one. It's because inside your narrative is telling you, don't make a fool out of yourself. This is not the place to say it. People are more senior than you. You don't have enough knowledge. They might just judge you. All of that narrative, you're actually playing from fear rather than playing from faith and belief in yourself. So that inside narrative is what I help them to change. That when they are in the boardrooms or when they are in a meeting, they know how to speak up and step up. So that's where the game changer is.
Absolutely. I want to shift gears a little bit. I want to start to get into the office politics stuff, the workplace politics stuff a little
Sure.
bit, the corporate politics stuff. A lot of senior leaders in organizations get frustrated because most organizations have an informal leader who's not technically in charge of anything, doesn't have a title, but that's the person everyone goes to ask questions. That's the person everyone goes to for guidance. They're the ones who are influencers among their peers. So instead of being frustrated, why should senior leaders embrace these influencers instead of resisting them or shutting them out?
Think that's a very nice question. Influencers are never the ones, in fact, who have positions and titles. They are the ones who don't even have any say in the main leadership. So there was a company. So I'm just talking in stories because that's exactly my entire career has been in coaching different people across the globe. So I'm as soon as you said the word influence, I remember there was this company that was going through a major transformation, and they were wanting to have a new system and a new reporting structure. Complete reorg is what they were looking at. So the leadership team, what they did was they passed on the emails, and they started taking town halls, talking to their people. They did everything, but the resistance was so real. I mean, you could literally see it. And I remember when they called me to coach those leaders who were having those resistance, I could literally sense the frustration that they were having. I spent some time with them, walking on the floors, having the conversations and everything. It did not take me long as an outsider to notice who everyone was listening to in the company. It was a woman by the name of Raina, just a senior analyst, if you see it. No formal leadership title, no formal leadership role or anything as such, but people valued her. They would go to her for advice. They trusted her. She wasn't loud. She was very respected, regardless. So I just asked the leadership team later on, upward, I said, have you ever spoken with Raina? And they said, who's Raina? Why would we speak to Raina? I said, she's a senior analyst in your company in the department. They said, no, we've never spoken to her. She has no role on the leadership table, Payal. I said, she's the one who, who has exactly the role that you want. She can be the bridge between the team and you and collaborate and make them understand if she understands well. So that conversation literally hit them quite hard because they realized that it is not the position, it's not the title. Those people who are influencers are sitting quietly on the corner of their office. But guess what? They can influence, they can talk, they can get your work done if you believe in them and they believe in what you are doing. So I think that's where, like you said, informal influencers are the ones.
Yeah, I think that's a great story and that's great advice of learning to identify these influencers in your own company, because recent history is littered with examples of either major changes or mergers and acquisitions that failed because the influencers in the company were not on board with what's
Yeah,
going on, and
yeah.
and nobody went to them before they even proposed a change.
Yeah, because we don't take time to look around and see who those people are. We don't even identify them. That where are they? We don't look around over there.
It's a great exercise for leaders, whether you're frontline, mid-level, senior. When you after you listen to this today or watch this today, and when you go into work, look around, and after something is announced, watch who people go to and
Yes.
ask questions. Do they come to you? Because that's a really good sign. Do they go to someone else? And that's not necessarily bad,
True.
because it means you can develop an ally and
Absolutely.
help that influencer achieve the bigger goals of the company.
Absolutely. That's very true. And that's why the identification is very important.
So I will guarantee you right now, someone is listening or watching to this and going, I think I'm one of those influencers. So what advice do you have for them? Those people who are not in these formal leadership roles, but do have this influence.
I would say own your influence consciously. Use it with intention. Be responsible because you might not be having a formal title or a role or something, but at the same time people are trusting you. There is something in you because of which they trust you. They listen to your advice. They take you as a mentor more than they can take anybody else. That's responsibility. That's position, no position but responsibility that you have with you. Don't misuse it. to create tensions or a toxic environment in the organization. Use it to help the people know what is right, what is correct, which is the way that they should go. Use it to help the management build that bridge. And I think that's where we should intentionally work on when we know that we are influencers.
Yeah, it's definitely with great power comes great
Yeah.
responsibility kind of thing. It's these kinds of influencers can turn something unpopular into an initiative that's really successful, and they can take something that's a really good initiative and really tank it and bring the company down.
Absolutely, I agree. My dad always taught me a very important leadership lesson early on in my career, and that was never underestimate anyone in the organization. You just never know when times change, and that receptionist who you ignored is a CEO of a company tomorrow. So never ignore anyone. Everybody has influence in some way or the other. You just have to know who are those people and pay attention to the flow that of trust that they are creating in your organization, but never ignore anybody thinking it's just a receptionist, it's just a janitor. You just never know when times change.
Yeah, I think that's really important, and even if you're not concerned about being under the thumb of somebody that you were not nice to later on, it's you never know what some kid working an analysis or an engineering shop or something, what great idea they have.
Absolutely.
And if you truly want an innovative culture in your company, it's really important to give everybody kind of equal attention, equal respect that for
Yes.
their own ideas.
Mhm.
All right, well that's great. I want to take a little bit of a break from these serious questions for a while. I want to play a game. Are you up for a game?
Okay, what type of a game?
All right. The name of this game is Rapid Response. I'm
Okay.
going to ask you a series of questions. I want you to respond with the first thing that comes to mind. Now, don't be fooled by the title of the game. You don't have to give a one-word answer.
Okay.
You can elaborate as much or as little as you'd like. I just want to get the first thing that comes to your mind, okay?
Okay.
You ready?
Absolutely.
All right. Payal Nanjiani, rapid response round. Your time begins now. Podcast recommendation.
First one, the leadership mindset, which I am right now on. And post that, yeah, no, of course, I've heard your episodes. And post that, there are a lot of business podcasts which I listen to personally. I don't remember the names initially, but yes, I listen to a lot of business podcasts.
Yeah, I think business podcasts are great. We appreciate the how much you love being on the podcast, but we do want to hear like what things you're listening to as well. So, what is a practice you'd like to see more people embrace?
Oh, 100%. Have a non negotiable morning for yourself. Please give time to yourself in the entire day, specifically if you can in the morning, but spend lots of time with yourself. Have that non negotiable morning where you don't give anybody else that time unless it's a big emergency. You must spend time with yourself. It's so imperative as a leader.
I agree. I started doing that a few years ago, and my morning routine is sacred to me. And if that means because of my schedule, I have to get up at 4 in the morning to do what I need to do for my
Yeah.
morning routine, I do it because I feel so much better and so much more capable of handling anything that comes
Yeah.
if I do that morning routine.
Absolutely, it's the foundation of your entire day, and it amazes me to see how many people don't build on that foundation. They are just not worried about that. Sorry, that 1 hour, 30 minutes, whatever you give to yourself is responsible for your entire day. So I'm amazed how many people just let go of it.
Yep. I don't say this a lot on this podcast, but if you're listening or watching, just do it. It works.
Yeah.
Who is someone we should all be paying attention to?
Ourselves first, and then to people around us, and then whoever we follow, pay attention to what they are doing, what you can learn from them. That's my list of 1 2 3.
I love that. What is your get pumped up song or your walk on music?
Ah, my favorite one is I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky.
All right, great.
Yeah.
The biggest influence in your life?
The biggest influence in my life, like a person.
It can be a person, it can be a thing, it can be an idea. We're open to all kinds of answers.
So yeah, there is not one. There are a few in my life. Of course, my parents, my dad has had a huge influence on me in making sure that I keep achieving what I want to and I help more people. So definitely my dad, my parents, my husband. But most of all, I would say if there is someone who has had the most influence in my life is the Lord above. My entire day, my routine starts and ends with him.
That's great. What is a book everyone should read?
My dad had gifted me a book when I was stepping into the corporate world. When I was stepping into corporate America, he gave me a book. It was titled "Tough Times Never Last, but Tough People Do." It's by Robert Sculler, I think. That book is still with me, has always been with me, has always helped me in every situation which I need to cross. It's my go-to book.
That sounds great. I'll add that to my list because that's kind of why I asked the question. Is I'm looking for books I haven't read before.
Oh, yeah. I love reading books. True, yes.
We are coming up on the holidays here. What is the best part of the holiday season?
To me, it is extended family time that I get. So
That's great.
Yeah, to me that is something which I look forward to. It's especially during I would say not just Thanksgiving, but especially during Christmas, when when everybody is in their family. It gives me a lot of time to also step back and reflect, and it gives me a lot of time where that's the only time I think I am not connected with clients or companies or something, and I am with me. I'm with my family.
That's great. Yeah, it's a great time to unplug a little bit and get focused on the things that really matter. What is your dream vacation spot?
Mm, I would say it is Hawaii, actually, the beach. Though my favorite spot has always been Las Vegas. Been there umpteen number of times. Still always want to be there. So I would say these two.
Yep. Well, that's why I live here in
Yes.
Las Vegas, and it's very different living here than visiting here, but it's
Yeah.
still it's a great town to live in.
Yeah, I know. I know that's true, and it's very different. I was just there this April.
It's great, and April's a great time of year to be here.
Yeah, it was chilly, but yeah, it was nice.
What is a trend you're excited about?
AI, 100%. The digitization where the world is going. You shouldn't be fearful about AI. You should know how to take AI as your partner, how to take AI as an extended self to you, because finally we are the humans who have created AI, and it can take us wonders in the world, in the corporate world. We can do so much now and grow so much. They make the organization grow so much. So I think AI is going pretty well. We shouldn't be afraid. Like I said, let's start using it in the most best way that we can.
Agree 100%. Last one. What is your favorite sports team or player?
Oh my god. I'm not into sports at all. So I don't think,
That's okay.
yeah, I don't think I have any favorite sport team or a player. I'm just not into sports.
All right. Well, that's also great to know about you. Thanks for playing our game.
It was
Appreciate the chance to
wonderful.
get to know you a little bit. In a way, sometimes we don't get to with the other questions. Getting back to it, we talked about one of the things you do, and we've alluded to this a little bit, is help your clients navigate corporate politics.
Yeah.
And a lot of leaders are really resistant to the idea of even getting into corporate politics. So why are people so resistant to this, and why should we embrace dealing with corporate politics?
Absolutely right, Jason. People are more resistant to it than embracing it. The only reason I've seen of resisting is because we have been fed in our minds for years that corporate politics is not a good thing. We have seen the negative side of corporate politics. We believe that corporate politics is all about putting others down, playing it bad. But when I write in my books about corporate politics or I talk about it, I always tell people that corporate politics is not about ruining your sleep and paying attention to somebody else all the time and scheming things. That's not corporate politics at all. Corporate politics is about knowing how to put others up, not put others down. What are ways that you can put others up while leveraging that to your advantage? You have to know how to navigate it, how to not lose your sleep. Don't play it dirty at all. Absolutely not needed. But at the same time, be aware of it, know how to navigate it, know how to subtly um, play with the mind. See, corporate politics is a mind game. It's not a game of putting others down or backstabbing somebody. It's a mind game. And mind games can be very positive. If you know how to build relations and at the same time know how to make sure that you are able to turn the tables in your direction when needed. That's what I call corporate politics. Know how to put others up, know how to play the game extremely, extremely well, not in a dirty manner, not by backstabbing somebody.
So what is a tip you have for us to help us turn the tables to our advantage without playing dirty?
Like I said, it's about knowing how to play it from the mind. If your boss has come to you and, or for example, if you know, it just happened recently with one of my clients, the boss is absolutely coming in the way of the person, is trying to put somebody else in the middle of the organization and trying to see that the position goes away. And I told my client was very frustrated, very angry. Payal, I'm going to write this mail. I said, what is this mail going to do to you? It's only going to make the other person be more powerful and say, guess what? I know where your trigger points are. I know where you get angry, where your ego hurts. I'll play it more. I said, why don't you turn the tables? Take it very subtly. Work as per the process. What is the process of your company? What are the things that you can do which no one else can touch? Can you think of those aspects? That's another type of a corporate politics where turning the table subtly by not using anger, ego, you're using calmness. You are using what the processes are. You are knowing exactly how to, you know, I would say not trap the person, but how to frame things so that your relation is maintained, but at the same time, your work is done. So, calmness is the very first requirement of corporate politics. You have to be very calm. Ego and anger is only going to ruin it. Then you're playing the wrong game.
I agree, and I think that's a great example. Asking for information.
Mhm.
In this case, what is the process? I want to understand the process.
Yeah.
And then once you understand the process and say, okay, I can commit to using that process. Do we all commit to using that process? Now has turned the tables, right? Now we've put a structure on what's going to happen in the future.
So another thing I would say, Jason, is a lot of us, we want to show all our cards immediately. Oh, I'm angry. I will let them know that this is what's happening. Why do you want to show your cards? You have to know when to play the right card when it comes to corporate politics. Don't open up all your cards and let the other person know this is exactly what you're going to do. One card at a time. Play the card, let the other person play their card. Then think which card you need to play. So that's, like I said, that's why it requires a lot of calmness, a lot of patience to know which cards I need to play at what time and the right time. And that's what helps. And you cannot, everybody in the corporate world, Jason, comes with their own agenda. You cannot not have corporate politics. It's healthy. It's not a bad thing unless you make it one.
Yeah. I really love that cards analogy. That was another lesson I learned the hard way in the Air Force is you don't need to
True.
spew out everything that you're thinking and feeling right now. Let some other people
Absolutely.
talk and then see what the next best thing to say is.
True. Very right.
So another area that leaders sometimes struggle with is risk taking. Why is it important to have a healthy relationship with risk as a leader?
I think risk I have seen, Jason, in quite a few formats. One is risk taking with your company. One is with the budgets, with the finance. One is with the self, your career. And the major reason why people and especially leaders struggle with it is because there's a lot of things in your personal life that also affect your risk taking ability in your life. So basically you have to also see what are your finances, what are your responsibilities in the personal life. I've seen a lot of people get impacted by that, and the risk taking ability reduces. That's one. That said, second major one, we don't have belief in ourselves. In one of my books, I think it was the latest book, Make It to the Top, where I had written about bet on yourself. That was a complete chapter. We don't bet on ourselves at all. We bet on others, we bet on the economy, we bet on the precedent that, what's going to happen. We bet on everything. We don't bet on ourselves. And so we are very fearful. We ask others, do you think I should do this? Do you think I should take that career transition? We have lost our own intuitive feeling. Our intuitive feeling helps us to decide which risk is worth taking and which is not. And if you don't build up on that intuitive feeling, you will always pay small. So that confidence is needed in yourself, that belief is needed in yourself to take that risk. Because if you ask somebody else, they will be like, no, I don't think it's worth taking. Yeah, for them it's not worth taking. But for you, maybe that is what is needed. So risk taking is a very important thing, and one of the very ways that, like you said, to have a healthy relationship is to understand your self awareness and build that intuitive feeling inside of you and have that belief in yourself. That is where risk taking comes from. It doesn't come from how the economy is shaping. Yes, that is data. Data just helps you to make that decision.
Now, one of the really interesting things about your work is that you work with mid-level managers and you work with them all the way up to getting them up to the C-suite level.
Yes.
That journey involves a shift from tactical thinking to strategic thinking, but it's really hard I'd say it's hard for almost everyone. Why do you think it's so hard for most people to shift from operating at the tactical level to thinking at the strategic level?
Major reason which I have seen is because they have not been tuned to that. Especially for people who are in the IT sector. I have seen IT sector, medical sector. They have a set pattern more onto the technical side of the things. Even if you're outside of the IT, there's a pattern that has been built where we are more functional expertise, and functional expertise is not something that will take you to the next level. When you're thinking strategically, you have to have a 360-degree view. You also have to know what your stakeholders and your um, economy and everything around you is going on. Like most people, what happens is we don't have knowledge of the P&L statement of the company. We don't have never taken interest in talking in the business language. We have never shown interest in being a visionary and seeing where the company goes. We play as per our role and our job description. That is not going to help you change strategically. You can read as many books as you want, but still it's not going to help anyone. To do that, the ways are you have to play beyond your role. You have to see in which areas you can take the risk. You have to see what the market is looking like. How are you bringing in some thoughts and innovations that can disrupt what is happening currently? How are you voicing that in the organization? You're not going to play it as per the role, you're going to play it as per what you actually envision the company to go as. So, those are some of the ways that you should do, but people actually don't do it because, like I said, they wait for the next position to come, and that rarely happens because it's such a narrow pyramid on top. You cannot have everybody reaching there. But at the same time, thinking strategically is not only for the CEOs, it is for everybody in the company who wants to grow as a leader, not only in position wise, but just, I would say, just make an impact in the organization and in the industry.
That's great. Yeah, I think there's definitely two sides to this coin, right? As senior leaders, we need to foster this kind of I when you're operating, I want you to stay in your lane, but I want you to think about what's going on around you and use that to inform your decisions, right? And then there's the part of us that needs to say, I need, I know what I'm responsible for, I know what I have authorities for, but I do need to take the time to learn about everything else going on around me as well.
Absolutely.
So I'm curious, what are the challenges you face now as a leader that are different from the early days when you started out?
Look, I think that that's quite a different, but to me, leadership, Jason, has always been about people. If you cannot be a people leader, you will not be able to sustain longer in leadership. So for me, it has always been about people. And what I have seen the shift is that people are getting more and more knowledgeable. People are getting more accustomed to the generations that are coming ahead of time. So, as a leader, one of the biggest changes is how do we lead people now? How do we handle people? It has completely changed. They are not looking up to us now as anyone who just has information and will share the information. They are looking at with a lot of inspiration. And if you cannot inspire, if you cannot have that empathy, if you cannot have that emotions touch in you, it's not going to take you anywhere. That is one of the biggest shifts that is happening in leadership today. AI is taking up so many jobs, is taking up so much of the roles of leaders. The only role it is not going to be able to take in time to come is the emotions. See, AI can power your mind, but it is only now you as a leader who can touch people's heart and soul. And that is a huge shift because that means you as a leader individually have to be inspired yourself. And self mastery has become one of the top today, which I teach people. How do you master yourself before mastering others? So that is a huge shift these days.
I think that's great because I look back on my time when I started as a young officer in the Air Force, and so much of our job as leaders was to be a conduit of information
Yeah,
because there was no other way to get information out. And now information's everywhere, and as leaders, we have to be thinking about and acting on how do we inspire people to use that information to meet our goals, not just to be someone who carries information to people.
absolutely. Right.
All right, so tell us a little bit more about your most recent book.
The fourth book, so I'm writing the fifth book now, actually. But the fourth book that recently came out is titled as Make It to the Top. I don't think I have a copy here, but yes, it is titled Make It to the Top, where I have spoken about what are some of the things that you need to do as leaders that will help you to move to the top. And top doesn't mean just hierarchy wise that I need to be into a CXO role. It means a lot about what does the top mean for you and what are some of the ways to do which you have never done before. So that is what the entire book emphasizes on.
I love that because I love the idea that the top is not the highest position.
Yeah,
The top is being at the top of your game.
absolutely.
The top
Because
is the top is mastering your craft and then using that mastery to go achieve things. I love that.
absolutely, because it means different things to different people. Not everybody wants to be on a certain position or a level. So yeah.
I love that. So what's coming up for you? I think you mentioned you're working on a new book. What's coming up for you in the next few months?
A new book, yes, and we have developed a huge life transformational platform which is dedicated to corporates and business owners. So, right now it is not launched, but we are very excited to launch it in the coming year. It is with the name of Success Within, but we are very excited. Our entire team is working very hard towards it.
Well, we will all keep our eyes out for that in the coming year. Is there anything else you'd like to leave us with before we wrap up?
I think I would like to tell all our listeners that success never discriminates between a man or a woman. This is something which I have worked on as a quote, and I've always said this that success and growth never discriminates between a man or a woman. It doesn't see gender, age, or locations or anything. Success is only and only concerned with your commitment, with your discipline, with you as an individual. So work harder on yourself, then you can work on anything else, and that's going to pay off in the long run.
I think that's a perfect place to leave it today. Thank you so much for joining us. Where can everyone find you so they can also thank you for joining us today?
They can find me on my website, which is payalnanjiani.com. And I would love for people to connect on LinkedIn. Just let us know you heard us on this podcast, and we'd be very happy to accept the connections. They can follow us on Instagram handle, which is Payal Nanjiani. And I always love connecting with people worldwide.
Yeah, and we'll put all those links in the episode description so you viewers and listeners don't have to go find them. And I think this is the first time that actually name dropping this podcast will get you anywhere with anyone. So thank you again for joining us today. I want to thank all of you for watching and listening. If you found this conversation valuable, go ahead and share it with someone who can use it. Leave us a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. If you're on a podcast platform and you're able to leave a review, we would love it if you'd leave us a 5-star review. That helps get the word out about the podcast. It increases our audience, builds our audience, and it helps get great conversations like the one we had today out to more people. So tune back in. We've got lots more amazing leaders coming your way in the coming weeks. Go out there, do great things today, onward and upward.
Thank you. Thank you so much.